Welcome to MMA Fancast. And my guest today is the incredible Cody Gamble. Cody.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be on here.
It's great having you back on here. Just a couple months ago, we had you on, and then you had a great fight, a wonderful win at Brawl in the Burke there in May. And we didn't get a chance to talk about that on the show. So let's talk about it. How did that fight go for you? What was it like getting that win in front of your home crowd?
It was great. It was great to have fans back in, right? It was exciting. I mean, I know there was a little bit of like, I think you had to wear masks like walking in and stuff like that. I had to wear a mask out to the cage. But I think it sounds like it's settling down a little bit more. So, I mean, hopefully, there won't be any any rules about like the mask and all that. I mean, if it's, your choice, if you want to or not. But, I'm excited to bring back even more of my fan base back to this fight, though, for sure. Because I didn't have my whole fan base this past fight, but since COVID's like really died down, I feel like there's going to be a lot more people at this one.
Yeah, well, you had the unique experience along with me and a couple of the people that were there fighting completely alone in an empty auditorium in November. And then it was a pretty big deal. The May 22nd card you were on, they had people spread out a little bit more and a couple other rules, but at least there was a crowd. So it'll be exciting. What do you think was the biggest difference between November when there was nobody and May? How did that impact you when you were in the cage?
It impacted me a good bit on the walk because you feel like at home, right? Like when you have like your fans, your family, and like all these people around supporting you, you feel at home. You get comfortable when you're walking to the cage. But once the cage door shuts, you're zoned in. You can't hear anybody besides your coaches. But that walk, I feel like, is so important with your coaches and stuff like that. It's just like when I was in high school and I walked out and stepped on the mat. You had your fans and family and everybody cheering for you. You got the whole auditorium cheering for you. But when you shake hands, all you're listening to is your coaches, though. But yeah, it was a big difference. It was so good to have that walk again with my crowd.
Absolutely, and thanks for giving us a great breakdown between how it mainly impacts the walk and that sense of people being there for you and that hometown feel, which is just wonderful. Like you say, like you were wrestling. Walk us through your fight versus Timmy McFarland. Did not last long, May 22nd. So kind of walk us through that fight, particularly as it went so quickly.
The game plan was going in was, to take him down and show off a little bit of my jiu-jitsu, and, the main thing is, keep my lead hand out there, keep him, keep him respecting my jab. I didn't even hit him with the jab, but I just threw it out there to keep him respected, took him down, and then submitted him in Americana, So I executed the game plan really well, and we got the win. So.
Yeah, I think that was all under a minute, wasn't it? Or right around there. I know it was.
I think it was 38 seconds or 30 seconds, or something like that. Yeah,
there you go. Absolutely. So given your fight in November, that was a split decision loss. It went to the decision. You got a lot of cage time. It went back and forth and all that. What was it like coming out of a fight that was very much back and forth to a fight that was over and under a minute and all you? How did that feel?
It was different. I mean, it honestly, it's kind of cool, especially at my level right now, to get that war feeling, right? And then and then go and get a quick win like that. So it's good, I guess, at my level right now before I turn pro, to get that feeling of, taking them out quick and then going through all 3 rounds, to a split decision. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a big part. Nobody wants to lose, but if you're going to lose, a split decision means that not only did one judge see you winning, which of course is at least the bright side, but also
Yeah.
you were competitive through the fight. You made it. It's not a submission where you got caught or anything like that. You now are at a record, which is a big deal. It might not sound like a big deal for a lot of people, but a 2-1 amateur record or a 3-0 amateur record, those are the two records where in the state of Pennsylvania, you start becoming eligible for advanced amateur rules.
Yes.
What do you know about the advanced amateur rules? And are you likely to fight advanced amateur rules in your next fight in October?
Yes. I mean, I'll be fighting for this fight, advanced rules, with no shin guards and ground and pound. And my first fight was in the state of Ohio, MMA fight. I think I fought for the
Yeah.
promotion Cage of Thunder or something like that. And you know, I perform a lot better with no shin guards on and allowing the ground and pound and stuff like that because I just it's just I do better, and I'm sure a lot of other guys do better too, without those rule sets, less rules, less you have to be like disciplined, and worry about the rule set, right? So
Absolutely. It really sounds like it opens you up to being more free. There are still no head kicks, knees, or well, there's still knees, but knees to the body, not knees to the face, and no
yeah,
elbows. Um, for your style being, I mean, your nickname is perfect, right? The incredible
right.
Cody. You're a physical specimen. You also move very well. You have great grappling background. How much are you looking forward to having that ground and pound where you can use your grappling and your physical prowess to really hold people down and then do ground and pound?
Yeah, I think for all MMA fighters, where you looking like just a straight grappling match, you're open, you're tricking your opponent and stuff like that and trying to get to a submission, right? But like where, in MMA, you literally get them to the ground and you beat them to, they give you an opening, like you hit them in the face. Now they're worried about their face. Now they're not worried about their arm getting attacked, So, like it just opens up a lot of things with the ground and pound with submissions.
Yes, I was watching some UFC fights and some commentary. And every once in a while, you see the classic ground and pound where the fighter on mount will grab a hand and then pull the hand and punch. Something that wouldn't be
Yeah.
effective in jiu-jitsu. You could grab a hand in jiu-jitsu and try to pull it away, but the athlete's likely going to have a defense to that. But when there's punching involved, it becomes a lot more effective. It can be more simple in a sense because the punching's opening up things that otherwise wouldn't be there. So that's obviously very exciting for you. Also cool that you had sort of these advanced rules in Ohio. I know Virginia also does much more open rules. But talk about this. Brawl in the Burke 9 is coming back too. They just had a promotion that was incredible in Johnstown, the first fight there in Johnstown in many years. Now they're coming back to Monroeville Convention Center October 23rd for Brawl in the Burke 9. What does it mean to you to be looking forward to fighting on that card? And what do you kind of want to see out of the incredible Cody on that night?
I'm very excited. 247 and their promotion, they always, like they put on a great show, with the lights and, giving fans like room, like to sit down. They're not crunched in there. It's, there's so much space, where the fans can relax and have a good time and watch some good fights. They do an incredible job and we're really lucky to have them, in Pittsburgh, holding promotions for guys like me. So, yeah, I'm excited to bring my whole fan base back, and then for myself, I'm going to just execute, what our game plan is going to be for whatever Isaac and Bob and then my kickboxing coach, Evan, whatever they feel like the best game plan is, I will execute whatever they tell me to do.
And that's a very humble and a very teachable attitude you have. You train at the Mac Factory. You mentioned a lot of the coaches there. And I think all good gyms, and the Mac Factory is the top of the top in the Pittsburgh area. but all good gyms have to have athletes who are willing to submit and have a humble attitude when it comes to being coaching, to be coachable, because that makes the gym better, because then the coaches are able to give feedback that then gets used in the game plan and on and on. And obviously Isaac Greeley and everyone there has a friendship that also makes it more about respect. So it's just very good to see that. The game plan mindset, I'm excited to see what you do. You do have a fight lined up, but as a lot of people don't necessarily know, amateur fights, it's a lot of things change, you know.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like, it's, I mean, when the fight card comes out, obviously I'll post it and stuff like that, and I'm sure my opponent will too.
Sure.
But it's so hard with amateurs because it just always switches and rotates. But at the end of the day, hey, if you fight that night, that's awesome, right? So
Indeed. And we had talked back before your May fight, and the opponent we discussed was not your opponent.
no, yeah, we
ended up
talked like 2
yeah,
weeks before the fight.
yeah, yeah, 2 weeks before. It was literally, it was a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. And I think what is good at this level, and you mentioned it, so I'm going to get to it because you said at the pro level. So, and you said about once you go pro. So we got to talk about that. But at the amateur level, how important is it for you to stay busy and take fights, even if the opponent is changing, 2 weeks before the fight?
It's just I just have our team at the Mat Factory, my teammates and everybody there, and then they have a new ATT American Top Team up there in State College that that Mat Factory we're really connected with ATT, so we go up there and train a little bit too. So I just got a great people that pushes me every day, and I'm getting better every single day, where it's like strength wise, I'm getting better, explosiveness, I'm getting better, my striking is getting better, my jiu-jitsu, and even my wrestling's still getting better, and my kickboxing. So I'm just improving every day. I'm doing like 10 to 12 practices a week, and they're about 2 hours long. But I really pick it up. I go over 14 practices a week. Like I'd say like 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out, I start doing about over 14 practices a week. But yeah, I just keep on improving, stay on the grind, and don't let anything distract me like that. If an opponent pulls out, like it happened back in May, like I could have been like, oh, screw it, like I'm just gonna hang out at the house for a couple weeks. You know what I'm saying? But I stayed my nose. I kept my nose to the grind, and like I think it was like literally like 8 days out, 7 days out that they found that Tim McFarland dude. So you just got to stay positive. So.
Well, and it's also the self-discipline, which is really tough as any job, but particularly fighters. It's so easy to back off the gas pedal when you don't have an opponent, and whether it's diet or training or your work, what you're putting in. So I think it really does go to self-discipline. We see that at the amateur level being important. We also see that at the pro level, how many times big organizations end up giving opportunities to guys maybe who don't have the best rank, but who are available and willing to take the fights. So let's talk a little bit about your plans for your career. I mean, obviously, we don't need to know exactly when you're turning pro. That depends on you and your coaches, your performances. But
right.
When we talked in May, you mentioned that you live and train at the Mat Factory. Basically, you're right there. Your full-time job is to train. So you're already training like a professional. And what are your future plans as far as the pro ranks go?
When I turn pro, that will be up to Isaac and, Bob and Evan when they, but all three think, when I would like all three of them, to confirm and say, yes, all of three of them to agree, like, hey, like you're ready. But when that time comes, it comes, I'm only 21 years old. So it's just, and I'm a heavyweight. So, I mean, I have a lot of time, still, I mean, and I'm going to take advantage of it and, be smart about it and, you know, whenever they think it's the right time, if there moves Bellator or the UFC, there's PFL out there, you know, when you get to that level, you know, and like, you know, you get an offer like that, or you have a couple, you know, pro fights underneath like 247, and you get like the Bellator or the UFC, you want, you know, it's just financially then, you know, if, you know, Bellator gives you, you know, 10 grand your first fight, you know, and the UFC is only giving 5, you know, you're going to go with, you know, Bellator. But if the UFC is giving you 10, the Bellator is giving you 5, you're going to go with the UFC. So, you know, so, I mean, that comes to financially, you know, that comes into play when you get there. So.
Absolutely. And that's down the road, not only pro, but also, as you pointed out, sort of how transitions happen in professional fighters' careers. It happens by opportunity. It happens by what makes financial sense. Now, what 247 has been doing really well, you even mentioned it, is building up amateur fighters to go from novice to advanced amateur to then, even before pro, a title belt. And it clicked in my brain that the 247 hasn't had amateur heavyweight champion yet. And how motivated would you be, you know, if things go your way and you build up your record to establish yourself as the first ever to fight for, and establish yourself as the first ever 247 amateur heavyweight champ, to build up that career before you even turn pro?
Yeah, that would be really cool. I definitely want to get an amateur belt, you know, underneath me before I turn pro. I think, you know, that's very, and, you know, I'd be honored, you know, if the opportunity presents itself down the road, you know, hold the, you know, have the 247 heavyweight, you know, around my waist. That'd be cool. You know, any belt would be cool around my waist, but that would be definitely a cool belt around my waist. So.
Well, that would make a lot of sense. I'd be thrilled. I'm sure the audience would love, well, they always love watching the incredible Cody Gamble fight, but
Yeah.
it is kind of cool. You know, a fellow Mat Factory guy, as you know, the Prince of Pittsburgh, one of my favorite nicknames and favorite fighters, Cole Mason, you know, when he won the belt, that is a big deal. It's a big deal because it's a belt, but it's also a big deal because 247 is establishing itself with really good gyms, the academy, the Mat Factory, all the gyms in the area. It's really becoming a great promotion, and also a great belt that means something because it has significance to the area. So it would be really cool for me to announce that if down the road you're fighting for the belt. I try not to matchmake for Jim Mooney or Ryan Middleton because they're the guys in charge. But every once in a while, you know, if they want to listen to this, and after you win your next fight, if that happens and you're able to get it and you're 3-1, and then they decide maybe a couple more fights, or even at that point for you to fight for a belt, I'd be all for it. So
yeah, really, thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. I don't think they listen to me at all. That's one of the benefits of being an announcer, is I just get to say what's happening in the cage, and I can say whatever I want on this side, and I don't have to worry about it. But it is really special to see what the Mat Factory produces. Talking about a special Mat Factory product, what was it like to watch? I've been asking everybody from Mat Factory to watch Jake Lowry's fight in May, and then what does that mean to you, being from the Mat Factory and kind of knowing that you might also get in a dangerous position in a fight and have to fight out of it and show your heart and show your skills like he did?
Yeah, he really represented the Mat Factory well. You know, he got caught with a shot. You know, it happens. They're small gloves, 4-ounce gloves. I've been there before. I've got caught. You know, I've had to battle through it all 3 rounds, you know. And, you know, him, you know, he came back up on top and, you know, submitted him. Yep. So, yeah, we were very, very proud of him. The whole team was proud of him, you know. The community of Lower Burl, where the Mat Factory's at, everybody was proud of him. His hometown was proud of him. You know, he represents the Mat Factory, you know, very well, you know, where, you know, as a Mat Factory guy, you know, we represent, you know, if, you know, we can take you into deep waters, you know, if necessary. And we, you know, and we're not scared to go to deep waters and, you know, fight all 3 rounds, you know, we'll go all the way.
And
even
you,
hurt, it doesn't matter. We won't stop.
and you represent the Mat Factory very well. And it's great to see that connection, that the Mat Factory really wants to be not only an incredible gym, which it is, but produce fighters who stand out, like the Jake Lowrys, like you, like Cole Masick and others. And I know there's many others
Yeah.
from the gym, including Edwin Vera, who had a tough outcome in Johnson, but was upset because he wanted to keep fighting, all busted up, and still wanted to keep fighting. And I think that really goes to the training and the culture you guys have at the Mat Factory. Speaking of the Mat Factory, I think at this point you're sponsored. So in addition to the Mat Factory, who are your people you want to thank and people that support you as you head into this fight?
I have a big list of sponsors, but I want to I don't have a list on me right now, but like they know, like I love them. You know, I go by and see them before every fight and go hang out with them after the fights. I want to take a week off of training, you know, and I want to thank them all very much. And I got a couple other new sponsors, you know, and everybody will see on my fight banner, my fight shorts, and I'm really proud to represent them guys too. And very blessed to have those guys in my corner. And, you know, I have those guys as fans, and, you know, and it's going to be awesome because, you know, they're going to be with me, you know, from this amateur career all the way up. You know, they're great sponsors. They take care of me very well. So
I'm glad you got a chance to thank them, you know, and it's a big part that a lot of people don't realize that's important for you as an amateur to be able to train full time because of your sponsorships. That's special. That allows you to develop. Like you said, you're only 20, 21.
yeah,
But that's good because you're developing your skills at a faster rate than you would be if you had to work a job. So it's you're very special. Your sponsors that support you are also very special, that they see an opportunity to get behind you. And it's always great having you on the show. I can't wait to interview you after October 23rd when we're talking about your win. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you.
Cody Gamble. Thanks so much, bud.
Always glad to be on here. Yep. Take care.
It's a pleasure having you on. Can't wait for October.
Yep.
Have a good one.
See ya.
All right.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.